Quick shout out to the two Uber comrades on Patreon supporting my channel and this content. My partner, Thank You Rosa, and Independent Left News. Definitely check out Independent Left News. They're a good resource, a great resource, frankly. I came across this article. I think it was something that Lee Camp was covering at his site. What is it? Government Secrets Exposed or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but definitely check out Lee's work at Redacted Tonight and the other site that I may have butchered or forgot the name was. But anyways, it was this article, just this really insane article, frankly. The title, the one I found at least, New U.S. Army Laser Machine Gun Fires Bullets of Light. So the U.S. Army developing this machine gun that fires bullets of light while we can't get health care, while we can't get everybody housing in the United States, we have obscene levels of income and wealth inequality, especially along racial and ethnic lines. We have the world's biggest prison population. We have all of the systemic failures of capitalism, but money printer go to for the U.S. Army to develop this laser machine gun that fires bullets of light. Just these contradictions, money printer go like in perpetuity, for infinity, basically, for the U.S. war machine, a war machine that brings death and destruction to the most vulnerable and marginalized people all over the world, particularly in the global south, exporting death and destruction at obscene levels. Again, the United States government is the biggest purveyor of death and destruction in the world. They are the world's largest terrorist state. Look what they're doing to the people of Syria right now, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, North Korea, Iran. Look what they did to Iraq, Afghanistan. Look what their support for Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen. Look what the support for the apartheid state of Israel they're doing to the Palestinians, etc. And then, the imperial core here in the United States is just really crumbling, by the wayside. The eviction moratorium, Congress doing fuck all about that, as all these statewide eviction moratoriums are set to expire. The one that I'm in, Washington State, I believe that expires at the end of this month. So just next week. Can't get health care during a pandemic. Can't get rent, mortgages canceled. Can't get student loan debt canceled. Can't get an increase in the measly minimum wage to $15 an hour. But yes, U.S. Army, here's all the money and resources you need to develop this ridiculous fucking laser machine gun that fires bullets of fucking light. I mean, just the contradictions there are really, really evident, right? And how capitalism literally is a death cult. We have poverty amidst plenty. We have more than enough resources, to give everybody all over the world a, decent, high standard of living, making sure they have, all of their basic needs met: housing, water, food, healthcare, mental health, education, clothing, shoes, free time, leisure, etc. But nope, money printer go here you go, U.S. Army, Raytheon, General Dynamics, GE, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, etc. Here's money, here's millions, here's tens of millions, here's hundreds of billions of dollars. Go develop these fucking ridiculous technologies that promote and are all about killing and maiming people. But it's good for the corporate bottom line. You don't fucking need health. You don't need health care. You don't need tuition free college. You don't need a living wage. We need to keep all those people locked up. But we do need those, Army laser machine guns that fire bullets of light. So bit of a rant there, but it's just really fucking ridiculous. And again, just really speaks to how completely disconnected the ruling class is here in the United States. And again, it's a bipartisan affair. The corporate duopoly, Democrats, Republicans, there's going to be no substantive change coming from either party, including the progressives in the Democratic Party. Electoral politics is a dead end. We need to organize political power outside of it, because that's the only way we're going to get any type of positive, long-lasting change done. So here it is. Let's take a listen, I guess.
Whew, this year has been something. I'm Pamela, a Washington teacher. It's taken all of us working together to get through the pandemic. When schools closed, bus drivers drove meals to families in need. School staff personally delivered supplies to students. And teachers found so many creative ways to make remote learning work. No matter the challenge, Washington's educators are as committed as ever to providing a great education for our kids. Paid for by Washington Education Association.
New U.S. Army Laser Machine Gun Fires Bullets of Light by David Hambling. A new U.S. Army laser has more in common with Star Wars blasters than anything currently used by the military, firing a stream of bullet-like pulses of light that hit the target with explosive effects. The U.S. Navy...
Think about that. We can't get a fucking eco-socialist Green New Deal, so we have a inhabitable planet to live on, so the human species is able to, continue to exist here. Kind of important. You'd think that would be a higher priority than the U.S. fucking developing this machine gun that fires bullets of fucking light, but no. Again, it's a fucking capitalist death cult. Capitalism is a revolutionary force. I believe it was Karl Marx that talked about that. And I mean, just case in point this, right? Look no further.
Fielded its 30 kilowatt LAWS laser in 2014. And since then an arsenal of new lasers with 50, 100 and 150 kilowatts of power have been developed on aircraft,
for a while.
Ships and ground vehicles. All of them produce a continuous beam that has to be maintained on the target until it melts or burns a hole. The period waiting for the beam to do damage is known as dwell time, and is typically a matter of seconds. Obviously, it presents a major targeting challenge, one reason why the preferred targets are drones and cruise missiles that do not take evasive action. The U.S. Army's tactical ultra-short pulse laser for Army platforms is different, producing a series of short but extremely powerful pulses rather than a
Again, it needs to be pointed out, there's never any discussion of how we're going to pay for that when it comes to death and destruction, and how the U.S. military, the U.S. military budget is more than the next 10 countries combined. Never any discussion. How are we going to pay for that? Never any discussion. How are we going to pay for this fucking ridiculous laser machine gun that fires bullets of light, but $15 minimum wage, that's going to add to the deficit. Can't cancel student loan debt. Can't give you health care. Cost too much. But nope. Here you go. Money printer go for the war machine.
Continuous beam. To add to the sci-fi flavor, unlike invisible infrared lasers currently in use, the pulses may also be visible. The weapon will fire up to 50 pulses a second.
Jesus, that's
the program builds on previous military pulse laser developments like the non-lethal SCUPLS, a prototype device generating detonating balls of plasma.
Jesus Christ,
Ultra-short lasers produce pulses with a duration measured in femtoseconds. A femtosecond is 10 or a million billionth of a second. And while their overall energy may be small, the power level for that brief duration is extremely high. The Army won a minimum of a terawatt, 1 million megawatts, with a goal of 5 million megawatts. Ultra-short pulse lasers this powerful exist already, but are the size of a shipping container. The Army want one rugged and compact enough for a light vehicle. The scientific community has long been interested in such pulses because of their unusual properties. One of these is that at a certain intensity, such pulses become self-focusing. The electromagnetic field is so strong it changes the properties of air, turning it into a lens and continually refocuses the beam rather than scattering it as it travels.
As I'm sure you know, the propaganda coming from U.S. military about this completely unneeded and ridiculous technology will be able to promote democracy and human rights abroad, you know, all the while that, you know, U.S. drone program has 90+% civilian death rate. But yeah, this will bring democracy and, you know, human rights, you know, in the global south or something.
These self-focusing pulses are known as solitons, and are not affected by atmospheric turbulence like continuous beams. In principle, they may be effective at much greater ranges. Pulsed lasers are also valuable to the military because they do not just slowly melt the target. The pulse is so intense that the surface vaporizes instantly, a process known as ablation.
Ablation.
Pulsed lasers are used in industry for
fucking ablation, going out and ablage. Like, well, that sounds pretty fucking crazy and scary, right? Like, no health care, no living wage, all kinds of people locked in prison, you know, white supremacy, imperialism, racial capitalism at the border. That's all good. That's all good. And, you know, machine guns that fire bullets.
punching holes cleanly through sheet metal.
Oh, man.
Pulse trains, a rapid series of pulses, literally chew through target material. Noted a military presentation on weapon applications.
Jesus.
The rapid expansion of gas produced by ablation can also produce a powerful shockwave. This was previously explored in the Pulsed Energy Projectile, a U.S. Army project involving a chemical laser in the early 2000s which vaporized outer clothing to produce a stunning but non-harmful flashbang effect. The idea was to create a long-range alternative to rubber bullets, but it was shelved because of the limitations of the chemical lasers of the time. The intense laser can also produce glowing filaments of visible plasma.
Jesus.
Another idea previously pursued by the Army was that because the plasma filaments conduct electricity, they could be used to zap IEDs from a distance, while European researchers are trying to use them to control lightning. The intensity of the laser pulse can also...
So IEDs, improvised explosive devices used against U.S. military, you know, whether they be occupying, you know, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, etc.
So accelerate electrons outward from the impact point at high speed. This rapid movement generates an electromagnetic pulse or EMP. This can be a problem in the laboratory when laser-generated EMP disturbs measuring instruments. On the battlefield, a powerful EMP, or a series of them, might bring down drones, missiles, or even aircraft. The EMP is generated right at the surface of the target rather than some distance away, as EMP effectiveness falls off with the square of distance. Pulsed operation avoids the challenges of waste heat management or power supply that other lasers face. The extremely high power and the extremely short pulses combine to produce an average power draw that is surprisingly low. The goal is for the pulsed laser to have power output of just 20 to 50 watts. Or, as Arnie would say, phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range. So as well as being 1,000,000 times more powerful than other lasers over a short time period, it is 1,000 times less powerful over longer timescales. After a successful phase 1 in which the laser architecture was proved, a prototype ultra-short pulsed laser weapon is now under construction. The goal is for a device compact enough for Army platforms, tactical vehicles, helicopters, and possibly drones, while it may still be necessary to keep the weapon on target for some time for cumulative damage to build up.
I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, can't say that I'm surprised, but it's still just deeply disturbing the lengths that the, you know, capitalists, the imperialists will go to further cement their, you know, corporate interests, their profits, the corporate bottom line. All the while, the U.S. empire is crumbling, you know, all around us in so many ways, and the myth of American exceptionalism has really been, I think, especially exposed during the coronavirus pandemic, where we have probably close to 700,000 people dead at this point, which huge, massive portion of those people could still be alive today if we actually had a functioning government that looked after the well-being of its people. But again, you got to get rid of capitalism to have that. So again, it's not surprising that this is happening, but the contradictions are becoming more stark and more apparent each day. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that realization that there's not going to be any type of real positive material change for the masses of people, the working class, whether it's in the United States or outside of it, through electoral means. So not surprising that the U.S. Army is developing this fucking machine gun that fires bullets of light, but still deeply disturbing on so many levels, just with how much extreme need there is in this country for things like a living wage, housing, healthcare, mental health, clean water, access to high quality food, eco-socialist Green New Deal, so we have an habitable planet to live on. Abolishing ICE, abolishing the military-industrial complex, abolishing the prison-industrial complex, etc., etc. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more content. All part of the people. Peace. Much love.